So,
So,
ladies and gentlemen, this is our first ever Yarn Spinners podcast.
welcome.
Well, yeah, indeed. So, primarily, what we want to do with this is just talk and discuss, and
Learn.
well, yeah, primarily it is to learn. It is
Yeah.
to learn. I mean, I said
Discover.
primarily twice, so actually, there's now two primarily.
So, primarily and secondarily to the primary.
Well, yeah. Secondarily, I think we do want to learn from this
Yes.
and
But
to
primarily, we just want to talk
yeah,
and have fun.
yeah, exactly. So whatever. Um, right. So a little bit about us, I suppose, is necessary.
A little bit of background
So,
history.
yeah, exactly. So Tom and I went to university together, and he's a very interesting guy. He, well, let's not
Well,
laugh. He's
go on.
uh, he's a bit stupid, but he's also very nice.
Dimitriy, on the other hand, is the opposite. He's very clever, but he's fucking horrible.
Well, let's not swear immediately, shall we?
Just setting the tone, because there's going to be profanities in abundance, I would say.
Yeah. By the way, this is completely. I
Unscripted.
wouldn't. Yeah, it's completely unscripted, but it's also. I think we're not going to edit it because what
No.
I want to do is to make sure that actually that there's no confusion, there's no misrepresentation, there's no possible. Oh, but I thought you said this, or I
Yeah.
thought you
Yeah.
I thought you said
This is literally a chat. This isn't. You don't go down the pub and edit your chat. This is real. So
yeah, exactly, and I think it will work best. I mean, Tommy always said, "Oh, yeah, maybe we should stick to some rules and do stuff." No, we're just gonna run with it and see how it
yeah.
works out.
See how it
Look,
pans
if
out.
people like it, people like it. If they
Yeah.
don't, fair enough, they
Uh
don't.
huh. Yeah. And we'll go back to the day jobs.
Well, I mean, this is
But
not a job.
we're not leaving them. Just for clarification.
I think if this is your job, then
I'm relying on the public now for royalties and to listen and get advertising rights and basically be famous.
I think if you want to do that, you gotta go to Love Island and sleep with someone or something like that.
And be more
I'm not
handsome.
knocking what they do. I am not knocking what they do, but
I
come on,
am.
guys.
I am knocking it. I am knocking it. Don't
So,
just seek attention on the TV,
well,
make an idiot of yourself, and then be a quote unquote celebrity. Because
so anyway, Tommy, how have you been? How have you been?
I've been good. I mean, obviously, prior to anyone who's going to listen to this, prior to their knowledge, we have been on the phone for about 3 hours trying to figure this out. So, up until that point, I've been all right, and now I feel a bit nervous actually. How about you?
Yeah, good. I went to an interesting talk. I've about virtual reality and augmented reality and real reality, and it's quite
Real
interesting.
reality.
Technology is moving. Well, so the way that this guy presented, and he's the guy from the BBC,
Uh-huh.
from the tech side, and the way that he presented it is that there's a cross reality, right? Imagine reality is like a scale ruler. And
Yeah.
on one end, you've got real reality, which is what we are now.
Yeah.
And then completely the opposite end, you've got virtual reality. And augmented reality sort of blends the virtual with the real,
Yes.
which is a very interesting concept. You at all into that sort of? Because I know that you love your physics, you love your whatever.
Sure.
Are you very much into the whole? Where do you think it's going? Do you think it's going into virtual reality? Do you think it's going into your augmented reality? What are you thinking?
I think Well, to be honest, I think everything has a place. I think augmented reality could have could have a lot of benefits, psychologically speaking, for people who are, bedridden or have like locked in syndrome or something like that, where they're literally incapable of leaving a room. Augmented reality could help them to, keep their minds processing and stop them from, just suffering, boredom, which I'm sure that they do is one of the many things that they would suffer. But also, it could be a fantastic simulation for, building and regenerating areas, things like that. I mean, you work in the building industry, so would you see it as beneficial if you're going to go and look at just a site you're looking at developing, and you have an augmented reality headset that you can put on and you can literally visualize what it will look like?
Yeah, I think in my industry especially, it's got a lot of potential because imagine walking into a room, into just a white box room, and
Yeah.
you put your glasses on, and you can immediately see what kind of house you're going to buy, right? So the house is being built, wherever. It's quite interesting. It's quite a
It's
cool
like
thing.
a virtual showroom.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But you can see the space, or agents walk you into a house and you put your glasses on and you say, right, I want that wall to be red. What is that going to look like? And you click on it, and you can see the red.
I mean, you could even distribute this into, people who are redecorating. They could just take, like a 3D image of their room, use software to strip it bare of any furniture, take it down to B&Q or Homebase, upload it, and literally look at the colors or look at the furnishings.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I think the possibilities are endless. It
Yeah.
was interesting to hear that guy talk about how it's going to go. What do you think about this theory that we all live in a virtual reality?
Um, it's a, well, from my mindset of living in real reality, it's far fetched, relatively unnecessary, I feel, because, reality is pretty good, I guess, subjectively, depending on who you are. But, you have to kind of ask yourself, what sort of a position are you in where reality has to be removed and virtual or augmented reality is then real reality? I don't. Yeah, it's difficult to find a scenario where that has to be the norm. Your thoughts?
Well, okay, let me just give you some history about it. So Nick Bostrom in 2003, a um, he proposed an argument that basically we have ancestors who have, or we might be in a simulation. And the way that he argues is that games went from Pong, which is two sticks and a ball bouncing against each other,
Yeah.
to Gods of War or whatever that's called, or the
Grand
GTA,
Theft
where
Auto.
it's
Yeah.
almost realistic, right?
Yes.
So there is no reason really why technology couldn't have moved in 100 years, can't be completely real, why you can't simulate complete reality that you can't tell apart. So his proposal is that actually what happened is, um, we've reached such a stage in human civilization that we are running simulations,
Okay.
and simulations are so real, like in the Matrix where you're just plugged in.
Yes.
And actually this simulation is so, and because universe is infinite and there could be infinite possibilities and all that kind of stuff. This reality that we see is actually a computer simulation. So his
Okay.
thing is that we're just living in a computer simulation, which we ourselves or we or someone might be looking at this now or following this now, and a bit like The Sims, right?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
controlling us. Um, I think as an argument, it's quite compelling, right? It's quite interesting anyway, because yeah, I mean, it could be absolutely. I mean, at the moment, you've got this thing of like, well, um, we it's like a life simulation, right? And we haven't got to a point where we can create such simulations which reflect real life. Like people create robots, but they look slightly weird, right? We know
Yeah.
they are robots.
Yes. Easily
Uh,
differentiated, aren't they?
exactly, exactly. And even things like GTA, the most advanced games, you still know you're in a game.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting thought because I thought, oh, because I actually asked him about this. So did this guy that was presenting. And I said to him, well, what's your thinking behind the Bostrom proposal? And he was like, well, yeah, of course, why not? But at the same time, we'll never know that, will we?
No,
It's
no, we wouldn't know. I mean, they could just hit reset and it all starts again,
exactly,
slightly differently, and we'd never know any different.
exactly. So I don't know. It's quite an interesting one. I mean, we won't know, and it could be a huge computer simulation that people find compelling. Um,
I would argue in a computer simulation, why would you necessarily need to code that your simulants for I don't know if that's a word or not, but I'm going to use it. Um, why would it be necessary to give your generated people, every living thing? Why is it necessary to give them feeling and free will and senses? Why is it important for one thing senses to be slightly heightened or dampened, compared to something else? Why why develop emotional feeling as well? What if the end game is to just see how humanity does? I'm not really, I don't really know why it would be in such detailed depth. Why is it important that I'm in a house on my own? I get up in the middle of the night. I need to come and get a drink. I can't find the light switches, and I stub my toe on a coffee table. Why is that important in a simulation? No one's checking the seismograph on that one, are they? Oh, Tom's just stubbed his toe. Note that down because the general will want to read that.
well, you don't know that. I mean, look, I
It's a
suppose you're right.
reasonable guess, though.
No, yeah, you're right in the sense that why would it be at all of interest to anyone? Um, but we're moving to that, aren't we? The
What moving
Sims,
toward?
the
Wow.
Sims is essentially that. The Sims is essentially you watching like forget The Sims. Big Brother is you watching some. What is it? 10 people live in a house,
So
24 hours.
you're essentially saying that this is a universal version of Big Brother, where billions of people can be watched en masse and individually.
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean,
mean,
I'm not saying that, but
no, 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 no. But the theory is. What are
because
your
look,
thoughts on it? Do you think that that's applicable? Do you think that
well,
this is
I mean,
South Park have already done this episode? Of
sure, sure.
this this just being a big entertainment show. Earth.
Sure, but look, I mean, the what is reality? Reality is only what you process through your eyes and touch and
Sensory
sense.
inputs, yeah.
Exactly. So there's no reason why this can't all be manipulated and simulated, can it? I
No,
mean,
no, no. But that's not my point. My point is why? Why have a simulation of such
why not?
intricate detailing of pain and different variations of pain? If
Why
I
not?
stub my toe, it's different to putting my hand on the oven.
Yeah,
Why
but
differentiate?
people laugh at that. No, they do because look, you watch a film about a guy getting kicked in the balls. He gets kicked 10 times. You know, it's like that Simpson episode where they're in this film, whatever it was, film competition.
Oh, I know what you're going to say, and he gets the football thrown into the groin.
Exactly. You know, people laugh at that shit. People love it.
Yes, yes, they do. Um,
And it is funny. If I saw you stub your toe in the dark, I'd think it's funny.
that's an oxymoron. You wouldn't see me do it in the dark, would you? You'd hear it.
Well, no, because I could have night vision
IR.
camera.
Okay, all right, fine. Yeah.
So
Still,
let's not be too clever, shall
rather you didn't laugh at my anguish.
we? So anyway, I mean, now is what? It's the 10th of July, 2018.
Yeah.
It's been a year since Brexit.
Yes, roughly.
Two 2 years. Um,
It's pretty bad that you don't know how long it's
no,
been.
no, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Gee. So it's been 2 years since the British nation voted for Brexit, which is UK.
Annexation from Europe.
Yeah, so they're leaving Europe or the European Union. I mean, they were never really in it, so I don't really understand what they're going to get out of it. But still, no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that the government's in absolute dire straits. Two senior ministers, David Davis, who was the minister for Brexit, he
Yep.
left.
He
That's a good
supported
sign.
it.
That's a
Definitely.
great sign.
He was right
Um,
behind it.
and Bojo, the big Boris Johnson, has also left. And, he was actually the foreign secretary, and he's resigned.
Yeah.
So do
Didn't like all
you?
the travelling.
Well, yeah. Do you think? Well, what are your thoughts on it? It's a huge thing to unpack. Let's go stage by stage. Do you agree
Okay.
with me?
Do I agree with Brexit? There are
Yeah.
things that I agree with and disagree with on both sides.
Like what?
Well,
You
I
basically
mean,
just gave a politician answer.
I think, um, to be honest, I've always thought that the idea of a European um, government, council, governing body, however you want to visualize it, I've always thought that it's been a good idea because we're all so close. I mean, you go and stand at Dover and you can basically throw a stone to France, or Belgium, and we're
Wait,
so close.
Belgium. It's a bit far.
Okay, Holland is actually what I meant, the Netherlands, but whatever. Geographically speaking, they're all a stone's throw away, really. Those three, less than an hour to get to France, less than an hour to fly to the Netherlands.
Yeah, but I was going
I've personally driven to Belgium in less than 6 hours from my house. Do you know what I mean? To Belgium. But my point is that we're all so close. Trade. There should be trade agreements. There should be a freedom of movement between the people, because why should it be difficult, especially if you're in mainland Europe? I'm sure there are people who literally work in other countries if they're living on border, like border towns and border cities. They obviously, there will be family living over borders and stuff. Why should it be difficult to go and see them and visit them, or get to your job, or just go on vacation, go weekend away, somewhere, why should it be difficult? And it's no different for Britain. Why should it be hard to come over here? Because we're a tourist hotspot. A lot of the country relies on tourism, as much as people hate the royal family. They bring in tourists year after year after year, to see the palaces and all this, that, and the other. And
By the way, sorry, just to interrupt you.
yes,
London was the most visited city in the world. Why something like 1.5 billion people came to London.
I mean
Just
that
saying.
speaks volumes. That's great. For me personally, I'm proud of this country. I'm proud to be British or English, with European heritage,
I
German.
hear a huge but though.
My only but is that I don't think that Britain really moves on with the times. I don't feel like we're a very modern country in the sense that British mentality is always, oh, we were the British Empire and we have so much power. We do have power, but I feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot with it.
But don't you think that's a
Like
very
little man syndrome.
yeah, but don't you think that's a very old thinking, old world mentality? I mean, look,
It is old. That's what I'm
first
saying.
of all,
We're not moving on with the times.
I'm not going to ask you how you voted, but do you generally agree or disagree with Brexit? Knowing what you know now in terms
Knowing
of
what I know now, I think I'd probably disagree more. There was a big sort of scaremongery sort of thing from certain politicians saying how much money could be pumped into the NHS
well, let's
you
not
know
say super politician. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was Boris Johnson and Nigel
and
Farage.
Nigel
Nigel
Farage, yes,
Farage, who's got a French name, so
yeah,
that's
and a
and,
German and a
yeah.
German wife,
So
but it's cool, it's fine, gentrification, it's all good. So knowing what I know now, I mean, hindsight is always a wonderful thing. We've heard that, so many times in the past, never in the future. Um, I, ju- I think we could have gone about it differently. I think the public were scaremongered into it, and I think, to be honest, because we live in a democracy, I think it was like 51% to 49%, wasn't it?
yeah, it was very close. It was very close.
Still a majority, though, is all I would say, because there was an awful. There's been so much that's gotten in the way of giving the people what they want, which was Brexit. Fine, we're in a democracy. We shouldn't have had to have had a re-election. We shouldn't have had to have all these debates about, oh, should we have another vote? It should have been, that's what the people want. That's how they voted. Let's get on with it.
But
No ifs, ands, or buts.
yeah, but the question is, if people were misled on a criminal level, um, and this was always my issue with it, right? If you're gonna tell people that they can make a monumental vote on something that has been part of my life while I was in the UK and I only came here 21 years ago,
Hmm.
part of your life from the beginning,
Yep.
don't you think that the fact that people were misled and the fact that people were um, basically swayed to voting for one position or another, um,
I think
don't you think?
I know where you're going to go with this, and I think, to be honest, in this country, I think you're led down the jolly path every election. People, when they're out campaigning, they give you all these promises. Oh, we'll do this and we're going to do that, and it never comes true. So where do you draw the line with these fabrications? Do you say, well, all right, you've had 2 years in office and nothing that you said has come true, so we're just going to terminate your contract and hire someone else?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I think I'm not the one to say, look, we need to have another another referendum because I think that's just idiotic. I think otherwise you're going down a very dangerous path into saying we're not happy with this outcome, so we're going to vote until we are happy with this outcome,
Yeah.
right? I think that,
I think if you had a referendum now, I think it would be vote Remain.
yeah, and I think to be fair, I think it shows how powerful the media is. It shows,
It also shows a huge lack of faith in politicians.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, look at it now. It's looking like it's complete shambles. I mean, to be fair, let's not discount the fact that they might be feeding the media complete and utter falseness, and actually the
Yeah.
Brexit talks are going swimmingly. Chances of that are very slim, but it could be just a huge.
Especially when you see Tusk giving, saying things like Britain's going to have to pay a huge fee, and what Britain wants is not reasonable. Their demands are too high. I mean, I can't see it being. I can't see it being. I can't see that being the case personally.
No, no, and I think to be fair, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot by having such a public display of decision making, and then
Yes.
going to the EU and saying, "Look, guys, we want to negotiate the best deal we can." Obviously,
Yeah.
the shoe is completely on the other foot, but at the same time, we are the second or third biggest economy in the EU. We are the one of the biggest contributors in terms of economic value to other countries within the EU. So it does
But
work.
is that because of the EU?
Well, but that's the question. I think that is the question. I think the question is, well, how much do we gain out of it? I mean, look, the other thing is that it's completely unprecedented, right? The last country that did it is Norway, but
Look how well they're doing.
well, they're not doing badly, right? I mean, sure, they didn't
They're
get
doing
into the
pretty
World
well.
Cup,
I mean,
but fine.
their currency is pretty strong.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, they have to adopt all these trade rules and regulations without having any say in shaping those regulations.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and if we're
See, that's the difficult part for me. If you have that's the part of me that doesn't like the European Union is that you all have to conform to certain rules and regulations, even if they don't particularly apply to you. That to me is a bit stupid. Do you know what I mean? There should
yeah, but that's
be
like no,
more
but
disparity with
yeah, but
things.
I think that's a bit like your workplace saying we're not going to give you a bonus. We're because what we're going to do is install a wheelchair ramp. So what you're saying is, well, wait a sec, I'm not in a wheelchair. I want my bonus. And they're saying, well, yeah, but it's for the best of the company, and we've made this decision. It's part of a government decision. We need to conform to it. And you say, well, well, hold on, guys. I don't need to use it. We don't have anyone that's in a wheelchair. Why do we need to do it? Well, it's the law. So it goes both ways. I think. I mean, look, I'm against Brexit as a theory, as a practice,
Yeah.
but I'm also against calling another referendum to make sure that the people are happy with their choice. I think if you're going to
So what?
do a vote on the deal.
So what is the best outcome in your opinion right now? If they were to come out with a deal tomorrow, if you could help broker it, what would be the best outcome?
I mean, look, I know nothing about, or I don't know enough to even start debating or answering that. But what I'd want for them to do is actually keep everything the same. The best outcome for me would be right. Let's do another referendum to vote on the deal. So we've got
Yes.
this deal. This is the best deal that we've negotiated. Let's vote on it, and that will decide whether people want it or not. And that is a clever way for the government to opt out of EU, because if the deal is going to be negligible, i.e., there's going to be very little change from the original our EU membership status, what's the point of taking it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they're not going to do that. I think they're going to leave it to the parliament, because clearly they've learned that people can't be trusted, which is a shame as well. I think it speaks a lot about not only the level of trust between politicians and the general populace. I think it
Hmm.
also speaks of weakness in terms of how they think it can be manipulated to vote one way or the other. Um, and I think that, it will speak a lot about May's government. I think Theresa May, who's the current prime minister, I think this will be a vote for her skills as a negotiator. And let's face it, although there is a minister that negotiates on her behalf, she has to sign it off.
Of course.
So, it's a bit. I would want for them to say, if they don't have another referendum, which I don't think they will, or if they don't, on the deal, that is, um, best case scenario is we keep single market. We keep, so that means freedom of movement for people. Um, I don't understand what is so wrong with a um, point system,
Hmm.
and I think there are ways to resolve the issue of things like, oh, but what if this child is an absolute genius, or what if he's not doing anything now, but he might be the next Elon Musk? Well, you can interview, you can take tests, you can do all sorts of things. I think there are ways around it.
Yep.
But for me, keeping the freedom of movement and keeping single market means we're still strong economically, we're still connected economically to the EU. Um, but obviously, that then means that we don't have a seat at the table. We just keep everything as it is, but we don't shape any of the legislation.
Yep.
So
Just get regulated by it.
yeah, I think either way it's going to happen. I think either way, if we leave or if we stay within the single market, there's going to be repercussions either way. But I'd want to. For me, it's purely selfish, right? I want to go to bloody Italy without any visas. I
Yeah.
just, I just don't want to do that. Um, and also, I want oranges in wintertime from Spain. There's no reason why they.
Pri- Priorities.
Well, exactly.
What do we want? Oranges. When do we want them? Winter.
In wintertime, and possibly out of season, basically out of season.
Like French strawberries.
I also don't want for us to pay through the nose for goods that we use regularly and unknowingly, which are from the EU.
Yeah.
I think what you'll see is huge inflation, depending on what they negotiate, obviously. But I think you'll see inflation. Okay, maybe it might not be huge, but it'll be inflation
Yes.
costs. I don't know. It's a strange political time that we live in. Well, that I live in, that I've experienced. I mean, obviously, our parents have gone through things like pegging to the Deutschmark and inflation of 15% or whatever it was. Well, I think it was interest rates of up to 15%, not inflation. So I think it's just going to be really interesting. It's going to be
Yeah.
really interesting for us. It is something to tell our kids and grandkids to say, and they'll look at us and say, "What the fuck did you do? Are you kidding? I could
Yeah.
have been going to free." And this is the thing that I don't get. Right? You can go to university in Germany free of charge. Well, whatever. You can go to
Yeah.
university, um, but people don't. But they complain that all these French and all these Italian and all these Spanish come over to this country. You can do the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
exactly.
stopping you from you doing the same thing. But the issue is you have to learn another language, and you have to
Yeah,
leave your comforts.
English people are lazy.
Well,
I mean,
you can't say.
it embarrasses me. No, I think they are a little, and it's not, um, it's not purposeful laziness, but I think it's sort of like innate because we just happen to speak the most widely spoken language and the most applicable language. You know, I mean, how many schools teach Lithuanian? But how many schools in Lithuania will be teaching English? Wow,
Well, sorry about that. I think
it's called silent.
you motherfucker.
Oh, this is professional, isn't it?
Oh, you know what, mate?
If you could just, focus
It's
for a
called
bit longer.
the bloody connected Apple system.
Yes. Anyway, back to the
Yeah.
topic. So, so yes, but you also have to say that as far as the education goes, people want to come here because we're pretty good at education at higher
Yeah,
levels.
it is.
I would argue that our primary school education is not as good as Europe's.
Why?
You know, well, it's different in Germany and other European countries. For example, preschool you don't go and learn maths and stuff like that. You go and you play until sort of 7 or 8 years old, and then you go to the classroom and you've developed different parts of your brain to much higher levels, and actually your ability to take in information is increased because you're developing so many more neurons in your brain. You literally become a better student because you've been playing. It's natural.
But
Most mammals play to learn.
this is all bro science, right? I mean, you're not a neurosurgeon, and you're not a neuroscientist to say that with conviction. Um,
I don't need to be. I've read the reports.
all right, fine. So, if you didn't know, Tom apparently is a genius. Um,
Well, I went to a Steiner school, so
Steiner
probably am.
School, was it
Yeah,
Garth?
das ist ein school for the gifted. No, I am an X-Man.
Like
Um,
special.
yeah, a bit special. But you can't say that because this has been broadcast. So no, it's just somewhere I went there instead of like a preschool, and I just played in sand pits and stuff, and had naps and drank milk. It's European, so it's the European sort of
Yeah.
style. You must have heard of it. You must have heard. You must have some sort of opinion on this.
I mean, look, I think British education is the best.
Yes,
Um, but I
certainly at university
well,
level.
but I think the I went to two types of schools. I went to a state school in the UK and I went to a private school in the UK. And I can tell you without any shadow of a doubt that the reputation that the UK has from, in my opinion, globally, is due to its private education because it is incredible. That thing that
It's top
the
notch.
thing that you were talking about developing different skills and different experiences which shape your thinking and and create new neuron pathways and whatever, that is fed into you in private schools. The number of clubs and societies debating and public speaking, wine, cheese, whatever, you name it, is ridiculous.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was the same. So I've been to a state school and a private school in England, and the private school that I went to, there was a large quantity of foreign students. People were paying. We had Russians, people from Hong Kong,
I never knew this
Taiwan,
about you.
France, Italy. Yeah. There's we had a lot of exchange students, and they stayed for a long time. They boarded and they stayed for the duration. Especially like some of the Russians. They're coming from big money, so they came even just for a year. They'd come over just for the Englishness, for the English
Oh, you went
education
to private
and the
school.
English mindset.
Why, why
Of
is this
course,
coming out now?
I went to private
Never knew
school.
you were. So all this time that you were calling me a posh boy.
Yeah, but listen to how you
Now
speak.
listen to how you speak. Do you speak like you're from Aylesbury?
I am from Aylesbury, so
Well, you
probably
don't. So do I sound like I'm
you
from
don't speak like
Oxford? Yeah, true.
you don't speak like you're from Kazakhstan, but you are.
Well, hello. Who's that?
Do you know what? At work the other day, just going slightly off topic, I was talking
Go
about
on.
you, and just thought of it. So I was talking about you to the apprentice, and he literally asked me if Kazakhstan was real. I said, talking about my friend Dmitry, and someone said, "Oh, who's he?" I said, "You know him? The guy from Russia. Well, not really Russia, Kazakhstan, but Russia." And the lad goes, "Is that real?" I said, "What, Dmitry or Kazakhstan?" Kazakhstan, is that real? Of course, it's real. It's called a map. Go and look at it. Don't get all flat Earth on me and erase Australia.
Mate,
You
okay,
know,
first of all, right? Two things with that.
yes,
Kazakhstan is not in bloody Russia, right? That ended in bloody. It was never in Russia. It was in the Soviet Union. That's
yeah, the
let's nip that one
USSR,
in
of
the
course.
bud pretty quickly.
Okay.
Secondly, do you not think that that speaks huge volumes about education, though?
Well, he got kicked out of school and he's 16. So it does speak volumes about education, but it also speaks about his ability to retain and remain in education.
Well, yeah, but I think, look, I think, I was talking to a guy who, a company who does um, like senior excellence development, right? For future leaders
Yeah,
of the company, and he was saying the biggest problem with the UK education is that it's based on an old Victorian system. You learn information, you recite it, and you are then supposed to be branded a genius because you can hold memory.
yeah,
It doesn't test you on your ability to problem solve. It doesn't take into
no,
account your creativity, um,
or fast
or
thinking.
fast
Yeah,
thinking, or abstract.
critical thinking,
Um,
problem
exactly. So
solving.
maybe that kid who doesn't know about Kazakhstan, fine. I don't know about a lot of countries in the world. Maybe only 200 of them. So
Yeah,
let's not. But seriously though, you can't know everything, and just because you
of
don't.
course. I'm not slaughtering his intelligence. I didn't say he's not intelligent
No,
at
no, no,
all,
no. But
because intelligence is subjective. If he's good at being an electrician, he doesn't really need to know about
well,
Kazakhstan.
this is
To be fair,
this is it. This is it.
But at the same time, we do kind of base intelligence on a slight basis of some sort of general knowledge.
But you see, do you not think that is wrong?
No, no, because I think, in my opinion, learning for the sake of learning is the epitome of intelligence. I think if you're intelligent and you're clever, then all knowledge is susceptible. I don't think that it should just be picked and chosen. I think if you like to learn, then learn everything. Learn what you can.
Well, do you know who disagrees with you?
You,
Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. He is
okay, fictional character.
wow, based on real life events. It isn't.
Sure.
Let's just say this. Um, but
That hound was horrendous.
it's just a big dog, mate. Just a big dog.
I wonder if the hound was a metaphor for intelligence. Go on.
But Sherlock Holmes is famous for saying, "I don't learn or I don't study things that I don't find useful." Um,
Okay.
so like a there'll be plenty of scientists who don't know modern culture, but they are bloody intelligent. So the question
Yes,
then,
but that's fine because it's the application of the knowledge that is ultimately important for the progression of intelligence in a certain field.
right?
But what I'm saying is, if you've got Albert Einstein sat in the patenting office figuring out relativity,
Well,
if you say to
let's
him,
not even
"Oh,
Einstein who stole his bloody theories." No, I'm
okay,"
joking. I'm joking. Keep going.
but if you were to ask him, "Where's France?" and he goes, "What's France?" you'd be like, "Well, you know, it's a pretty big country, fairly near you. You should probably know about it."
But I think, well, I stopped blaming people for not knowing Kazakhstan because it is quite an obscure country, and unless you study the atlas, you're not going to know about
I don't think you need to study an atlas to find Kazakhstan. Pretty
it.
big.
Well, it's like that video of on YouTube, and you can find it on YouTube. I think it's called something like "Stupid Americans," and they say to them, "Oh,
Just America.
well, let's not. Can you can you show us North Korea on the map?" And then they give them a pin,
I've seen it.
and then
And they say things like, "Who should we go to war with
yeah,
next?"
yeah, yeah.
"Oh, Iran. Can you find Iran on the map?" And they point at France or something like
Yeah,
that.
but I think at the same time, it's like, look, can you blame them for not knowing? A lot,
No, I guess not, because they basically live on their own continent. North America's huge. So, they've got everything. They don't need to go to other countries. They have other states.
it's interesting. I've just typed in. I just typed in number of passports in America into Google, and they say
Yeah.
36% of Americans own a valid passport,
36%.
and 64 therefore do not and may never have.
That is that is startling.
So, but when you live in a country such as the US, where
Hmm.
you have all sorts of cultures, all sorts of nations, all sorts of not nations, nationalities, and experiences, and all sorts of terrains. You can go to Hawaii and experience lava and volcanoes and tropics.
We'll just go to Yellowstone National Park for that.
Wow, yeah, sure. And at the same time, go to where's Denver, where it gets to minus 30 degrees.
Yeah.
You almost don't need to leave. And also, there's that thing of comfort, right? Why would I want to go to France to see the Eiffel Tower when I don't speak French? I don't know if I like the food. When I could go to Las Vegas and see the Eiffel Tower, everyone speaks English, unless you're Mexican, in which case the Americans or the US think that they don't.
Yeah.
And you can eat a burger. You don't need to eat snails.
Escargot.
Um, I think it's quite interesting. I mean, you've traveled a lot, and you still travel a lot. Do you? Because they say that traveling broadens your horizons and matures you as a person. Do you feel that? Do you feel that way?
Yeah. 100%. If I could have travelled to more countries, experienced more cultures, tried different foods, heard different languages, seen different ways of life than I would. I think I think travel literally broadens your horizons in so many ways as well. Not just, oh, I went there and it was nice, it was a good photo opportunity. It's good to see how other people are, see how Italians are, see how the French are, you know, see see what their impact is on your life and your impact is on their life. And, you know, even just to experience the geographical beauty of somewhere, just the thrill of jumping on a plane and going to another country, and having a different currency in your hand and not understanding what's going on and being put into situations where you have to think more than when you're walking on your own estate or going home or walking to town. It's different, and you feel like a child again, absorbing all this new information. You've travelled a lot. I mean, you've been to a few places recently. Where did you go? You went to Finland, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
You went to Finland, and then you went to one of the neighbouring countries on like a day trip, didn't
yeah.
you?
I went to Estonia.
That's the one, Estonia. I mean, you didn't have to, but what made you want to do that?
Um, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Finland was because my girlfriend really wanted to go to Finland. Um,
Well, okay, so why did she want to go to Finland?
she spent a bit of a childhood there because her dad, who's a who was a professional uh, ice hockey player, I think he either played or trained there. So she wanted to go back because she's got really fond memories of
Okay.
women, of uh, Finland in general. Um, but it's great because I got to see a country which I wouldn't have chosen to go myself, which is a shame, but it's true. Um, Estonia, I went because a friend of mine recommended it, and it's only 2 hours by boat from Helsinki. The other reason is that
Hmm.
Helsinki, I found on, and barely scratched the surface, but it's a small city, right? Coming from London, where I was at the time, living at the time, it seemed like a really a small city without much to do. Now, obviously, I could be completely wrong. There might have been a completely huge underground scene for arts and culture and food and whatever. Um, but I didn't know anyone too enough to really scratch that surface. I didn't want to really work for it. I just wanted to relax. Don't get me wrong; it was a great city, and there's really cool stuff there. There's things like um, there's a huge vegan scene. That is the one place that I went so far, and I was like, I could be vegan here. There's vegan McDonald's there,
Hmm. Wow.
um, and their cultures, it's really egalitarian in terms of men and women and races. Although I think they're actually quite, um, I think they're actually quite conservative in some ways. But yeah, it was great. But I sort of thought, oh, you know what? I don't want to spend the whole week here because it got to a point where we just learned the city through walking. That's basically all we did, walk.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but like I recently went to Italy, um, and we went to for my friend's wedding from school in Puglia, which is in the heel southeast of Italy,
Yeah.
which was beautiful, rolling hills of farmland and vineyards and um, olive trees, and it was great. The food was incredible. The people were really interesting. We stayed in Alberobello and Loco Rotondo, um, which are quite small towns, really, not even cities. But then we went to Rome,
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been to Rome, but I was really underwhelmed by Rome.
Okay.
Really underwhelmed by Rome. So you know, um,
For what reason did you? Because I would have been blown away by it. I really want to go and experience the Colosseum, and
well,
because I like ancient history.
well,
So
this is the thing. That part of Rome is incredible. The Colosseum, seeing it in person. I mean, it's really it is how you see it in pictures and textbooks. Um, the Forum was incredible, which is where the Roman
the
yeah
Senate gathered, yeah,
the what did we see? We saw the Parthenon, which was not the Parthenon, the Pantheon, which was really good. Spanish Steps, which were
yeah.
really good. It has good bits to it. And again, I was only there for a day, so I didn't really get into it. But I found it to be very um, quite dirty, um,
I have heard these things,
quite
yeah,
quite unkempt, quite the beautiful Roman buildings were black with soot and dust
yeah,
and whatever and pollution.
and pollution.
And I just thought, guys, if you've got thousand whatever it is, 100-year-old buildings, why not just look after them?
Yeah,
Um, don't know. I mean, we'll see. Anyway,
do you think they take it for
well,
granted?
yeah, I think so. I think it's a bit like in London where you've got such thing, but I think London's actually quite well kept. Um, quite well, it's quite clean. The buildings are looked after. They're restored. It's quite, and it could be because their economy is suffering, etc., etc. But I just think, as a matter of pride, wouldn't you want to? I don't know. I just some people have told me it's one of their favorite cities, and I just didn't see it from my day trip there. But then it's only a day. I haven't really given it
Hmm.
enough to really scratch the surface of it. But would I go back? Probably. I would definitely not go in the summer because it's ridiculously hot and
Yeah,
stuffy. Um, Probably go spring, autumn time. But I
yeah.
loved rural Italy. I would love to go to other cities like Florence and in
Oh, yeah.
Florence, Naples, and venture out to Naples. Although I heard the driving's a bit of an issue.
Hmm.
Just generally I want to travel. I want to see because I also picked up a bit of Italian, which is quite good. I want to go to Spain and pick up a bit of Spanish because I quite like those languages.
Well, you can hablar
Yeah,
español
true,
anyway.
true, true. Um, anyway, what do you think? Shall we? I think we should wrap it up really soon.
I think we should because the listeners are probably checking their watches now, thinking, how long is
Yeah,
this going on for? But I've enjoyed it.
yeah. I think as the beginning, I'll be I'll be
Unstructured.
interested to know what kind of comments people have and what they want
Yeah.
to hear from us and what they want us to talk
Uh-huh.
about and what the structure is like. If they like the fact that it's just free, unedited, completely, you know, um, even to a point where you
Yeah.
can hear my girlfriend ringing me. That's right. I've got a girlfriend. Um,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Tim the talking clock, isn't it?
oh,
He rang you.
let's not. But anyway, I've got friends coming over who I think will be great to talk to or to talk about,
Yeah.
and to discuss what they do and their thoughts. And they're all from all sorts of different walks of life in terms of careers and
Yeah.
cultures. So it'll be really interesting. So
Yep.
yeah,
Well, let's get this one out there and see what people thought. I'm interested. Maybe we should tell them our email
yeah.
address.
I mean, if you wanna email us, do email us. We're always happy to get some criticism, constructive or destructive. I know how the internet works. It's the Yarn
Yep.
Spinners. No, it isn't. You know what it is. Why don't you kick it off?
I can't remember
Now,
what it
I think
is.
it's Yarn Spinners Podcast at gmail.com.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Spinners spelled normally without a Z because we're not.
12.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Email us at yarnspinnerspodcast at gmail.com. We're going to upload this onto SoundCloud as well, so you can, well,
Hear it
hopefully
for
we can upload
free.
it to SoundCloud because I don't want to pay for that. We're also going to try and upload it to iTunes podcast. So let us know.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, please do. Well, he's been Dimitri, and I've been Tom, and we look forward to hearing from
Yeah,
you
we're the
soon.
Yarn Spinners. Peace.
Peace.